Hello, everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast, as part of a Storm article, this audio podcast is part of a Raptor Storm, and this audio podcast as part of a platinum edition, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Robotics production. So, audio podcast, in this audio podcast, and in this particular edition, this sort of platinum edition, I look at works from in around 2006, and sort of an overview of a particular sort of condition that focuses on sort of anatomical and sort of physiological and pathophysiological development, and I sort of look at a condition that was originally identified in amongst neonates and pediatrics and young people in around 1900s. So this audio podcast will look at an introduction in around Crouzons syndrome. So Crouzons syndrome was first described in around 1912. It is a genetic disorder characterized by sort of the premature joining of certain bone of the skull, and the terminology around this joining in surgical terminologies is referred to as an anastomosis, a joining of, but in context of bone development, in context of joining of bone and skull, and the skull, the terminology that has been clinically evidenced is referred to as craniosynostosis. And where the joining of the bone and the skull is affected and affects the shape of the head, affects the shape of the head and the face in those who are diagnosed. So many features of Crouzons syndrome result from sort of an early fusion of the skull during development, and abnormal growth of these bones leads to a sort of a broad or wide set of bulging eyes, and sort of vision problems caused by shallow eye sockets, eyes that, for example, do not point in the same direction. In the same direction, and the terminology referred in anatomical literature is strabismus, and also where those diagnosed have sort of a have can have as part of the skull development, the sort of aspects in around abnormal skull development, is where there's features around where there's anomalies or abnormality around the nasal structure, where those diagnosed can have a sort of a beaked nose, and also an undeveloped mandible or jaw. Cases with Crouzons syndrome may have dental issues, as well as hearing loss, which is sometimes accompanied by narrow ear canals. Cases with Crouzons have an opening in the lip, in around the lip and the roof of the mouth, and sort of in more recent cases, although Crouzons is sort of again an early 1900s sort of condition in sort of in some aspects where the symptomology where some of the symptomology is concerned, whether in around the roof of the mouth and the lip, where in society there can be people amongst the public, patients and amongst the public, where there are symptomologies that are similar, that have some similarity, and that is referred to a condition or a symptomology known as or referred to as cleft lip and palate. And the severity of the signs and the symptoms varies amongst affected people. Patients with Crouzons are usually of normal are usually of normal intelligence, but vary accordingly. And in Crouzons syndrome, synostosis of two or more cranial sutures may be involved, therefore can be a risk for increased intracranial pressure intracranial pressure, referred to as ICP. And there is also a greater chance where intracranial pressure is concerned, there is a higher probability or greater chance of hydrocephalus resulting, and this resulting and evidenced in infants. Is evidenced more so in infants than those with single suture fusion, and evaluation of and close monitoring by neurosurgeons is important. And after the newborn duration, the multidisciplinary team tends to continue to evaluate the child's or pediatrics and young person's needs. Audiology or hearing investigations and speech evaluations are important to ensure speech and language speech and language development. And assessment by an ophthalmologist is important, especially if the eyelids are not protecting the eyes completely, or if there are eye muscle abnormalities. So that draws this initial audio podcast intro to Crouzons to a close. This audio podcast as part of a Ztorm Lobostics article. This audio podcast as part of a Raptor Ztorm, and this audio podcast as part of a platinum edition, and this audio podcast as part of a Ztorm Lobostics production.